Dan, I'll ask you this. I know you're not high on Tampa Bay, but who do you expect to actually shine brighter in that special moment? 3 million people, Alliance Arena, seeing an NFL game for the first time in person.
Geno. Are you talking about Geno versus Tom?
Yeah, in Germany.
Oh, Geno Smith. Geno Smith. Geno Smith is playing top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now. All the really hard stuff when it comes to operational space in the pocket and getting from number 1 to number 2 to number 3 and the ball placement versus accuracy, the creativity when plays kind of break down. Geno Smith's doing it really well. Throwing under pressure, shots he's doing it really well. And I'll tell you this, Geno Smith's the best quarterback in football right now when it comes to playing against zone coverage. I mean, he eats it up. You know who plays a ton of zone coverage? Tampa Bay. But the way that Seattle has married their outside zone game with their bootleg game and Geno getting the ball out with completions, their 3 tight end group, DK and Tyler Lockett, Geno's playing great. I think Geno's going to have a really good game against Tampa Bay's defense that, again, was out Shaq Barrett, going to play a ton of zone. Seattle's defense isn't dynamic. Like, it's not incredible, and they're going to have to tackle really well with the ball getting out of Tom's hands, and if they do that, I think they can minimize the Tampa Bay offense for the most part of that game. I think Geno has a much better game.
Let me say this to you. I'm not sure about that, but that's no shade on Geno Smith. I think Geno Smith is the runaway winner for Comeback Player of the Year. Runaway winner. Yeah. I think he's done a fantastic job. And I think that we all need to step back and considering the criticism that we rightfully gave him over the years. We need to step back and give that same momentum to giving him praise this year. He has been outstanding. He's completing about 73% of his passes. He's got 15 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions on the year. But I will say this, just like he deserves, he's the runaway winner for Comeback Player of the Year to me, I'm going to tell you who deserves strong consideration for Coach of the Year. That's Pete Carroll.
No doubt.
Let me tell you something right now. Yeah. This man deserves Coach of the Year consideration. And I'll tell you something else. One person that's looking bad in all of this is Russell Wilson. Because when you look at the rest of the roster, I mean, Seattle got some ballers, bro. Oh, they got some rough riders. Awesome, I mean, listen, they got a top 4 offense. They got a top 10 rushing attack. This cat, Kenneth Walker. I mean, this dude's averaging over 5 yards a carry, okay? And Rashard Penny was averaging over 6 yards a carry before he went down. Let me tell you something. DK Metcalf is a stud. Tyler Lockett is no scrub. Noah Fant can ball. Listen.
Their draft class, Stephen A., is probably the best draft class in football.
Listen, they got some ballers. And listen, I think it's going to require greatness from Tom Brady. And, of course, his receivers catching the damn passes. Stop dropping them. But let me give Tampa Bay a warning. The way I watch Seattle go at teams, I'm talking about their physicality, the fact that they run the football, they got young, fresh thoroughbreds out there. You know, I mean, they go after it. If Tampa Bay ain't careful, forget losing, they're going to get their ass kicked. They're going to get their ass kicked.
That's real.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers better show up because Seattle was no joke. Now, I just happen to believe because of the level of urgency combined with the luck that came their way, I think you could feed off of that momentum. And as a result, Tom Brady could have a shining moment. But make no mistake, Seattle is the better team this year. And they have collectively better players.
Stephen, I totally agree, and I totally agree the potential of the outcome of the game. One thing I read this week that I was shocked to hear that Tom Brady said.
Yeah. Pete uses the word resistance.
Yeah, resistance.
And by Russell Wilson standards, that was an outburst, right? Like by the standards of Russell getting mad and saying something controversial.
Agitated.
He got mad? That was bordering, by his standards, that was agitated. So what do you take from that? But Pete Carroll is basically saying, we all wondered what was the relationship there and everything else that's gone in. And Russell goes to Denver. We've seen how it's gone. We don't have to wonder that.
That's like it wasn't very good.
Yeah, but that's very good. So now Pete Carroll's basically saying Russell wouldn't wear the wristband, and it's helping that he does. And now here's Russell's response. What do you think of all this, Bartholomew?
Well, it just tells me how empowered and how emboldened Russell Wilson was. The fact that you would have respect for your head coach, and that they thought it was something that would help the offense. He was resistant to it. I don't know what he thought that would mean because everybody wears, Tom Brady wears a wristband, right? You talk about it allows you, one, to get the play called earlier so that you can get to the line of scrimmage and make the adjustments. But if he's resistant to it, then it's saying like, okay, you're hurting the team. And if you look at it right now, who would you rather have, Geno or Russell Wilson? So maybe Pete Carroll protected Russell Wilson from himself, and then he just got tired of the shenanigans. He was too much to handle, too devious.
In case you're wondering who you'd rather have, I'm sorry, but I have to show this. Just to make it clear just how much better Geno Smith has been. And bear in mind, this was a season, the trading away of Russell Wilson was perceived by everyone to be Seattle rebuilding and Denver going to the Super Bowl. Well, a funny thing has happened on the way to that. Look at Geno Smith's numbers this season. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and Russell Wilson is one of the worst. Those are the numbers. Take them for whatever you will. Danny, go.
And I think that's part of why Pete Carroll's firing unprovoked shots at Russell Wilson regularly. The Seahawks are feeling themselves, and the reason is the Seahawks won the Russell Wilson trade. I mean, all the draft
take a loan.
With the first round pick they got back, they drafted the kid who is now their starting left tackle, and he's playing great. And they nailed the draft. By the way, they have Denver's first round pick next year, which I guarantee you right now projects to be a top 10 pick. I don't know where it ends up. But, I mean, think about it. You could be the Seahawks, you could go to the playoffs and still end up having a top 5 or 10 pick out of this deal. And it seems like they're not too upset to be rid of him.
So, look, there are 3 legendary, and I'm going to put legendary in air quotes here, quarterbacks in the NFL who are struggling this season. Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers are 2 of them. Their legacies are set in stone. There's literally nothing, no matter how badly their seasons go, that are going to impact how we remember them. They're 2 of the greatest of all time, and of that there is no debate. And then the third is Russell Wilson. And I think that to a large degree, his legacy is going to be written in large part based upon what happens here in Denver. And it is very early to say that there's certainly no way to say it can't succeed. But I'm not sure, Ninko, that it could possibly have started worse than it has started.
No, it is started terribly. And if you think about his age as well, he has a long way to go. So he has to correct this thing. He has to turn this around, or we're going to be talking about the difference in how he fell off from leaving Pete Carroll. Just plain and simple, how he left Pete Carroll and his play declined.
Oddly enough, it's almost the same debate we had about Brady and Bill, right? Who was more important?
Yeah.
And now we know who was more important. Maybe Pete Carroll was protecting Russell Wilson from himself and put him in a bubble and coddled him a little bit, and he didn't realize. It's almost like Rocky IV when you tell him, like, they were bums. It was all set up before he fought Clubber Lane because he was a real fighter.
Oh, Rocky III.
Yeah, Rocky III.
That was Rocky.
Get your Rockies right.
Together, Rockies.
I apologize.
No, but the point is still well made. And look,
You could put 6 wristbands on me.
That's what I would do if I was Russell on Sunday. I'd come out with
as many wristbands.
all over.
If you can get your stats to look like Geno Smith,
So,
put them on your calves.
So Russell was, before the season started, people would say, he's probably a Hall of Famer. I think, right now he's not. And if it continues to go this way, he'll be remembered for a guy that won with a great defense and not a guy that was a great quarterback.
oh, by the way, they traded away, to Dan's point, almost everything in the world to get him, and they signed him to a contract that's worth $250 million that they're not getting out of anytime soon. So if this really is going to go this way, this is only the beginning of it going this way.
Well, I mean, think about this. You're talking about an indictment on Russell Wilson in this trade. The fact that the Denver Broncos traded away one of their best defenders to try to recoup a first-round pick in this whole scenario. That wasn't supposed to happen with the Denver Broncos. They were supposed to be the Super Bowl favorite, and they were going to be off and running. But the fact that they said, you know what, we're in such a bad spot, we need to trade one of our best defenders to try to recoup picks, to try to rebuild around Russell Wilson.
And because they figured out they couldn't pay him, the defender you're talking about. That's
because-
the other thing, right?
Probably because they paid Russell
In
Wilson.
part, no doubt about it.
Look,
It is too soon to say these things, but that number, put that back up on the screen, Cindy,
That's
if it's
crazy.
not too late to do it. Look how much, I know that people generally know this, but when you actually see it, look how much they traded. There's
Shelby
still a 1 and a
Harris
2
is
coming.
insane.
Do you know?
All three of those rookies are starting for
And
the
balling,
Seahawks
and
and playing
balling.
well.
Here's the point I'm going to make. Once upon a time, Jimmy Johnson traded a great running back named Herschel Walker for a haul and used that trade to turn into a Super Bowl team, a team that won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years.
Oh, Senator?
Is that how we're, Herschel Walker obviously in the news for other reasons right now. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That who knows if someday we look back on this trade and we say Seattle built a mini dynasty on the Russell Wilson trade.
Could that be Aaron Rodgers?
Oh.
Yeah, the reboot to the reboot, baby.
It
You
could
can
have
get that for Russell Wilson.
It could have been, but the Packers decided to keep and sign Aaron Rodgers instead when he decided to stay there, or else guess where he'd be?
Denver.
Yeah, except maybe he knew something about Nathaniel Hackett. The rest
it
of
ain't
us
too
didn't
late,
know
though.
yet. Okay, we're going to get to
that?
Siberia.
the suddenly surging.
Did you draw that?
I could draw that.
He is the suddenly surging Seattle Seahawks. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. You're a Tom Brady teammate. Tom Brady teammate, I'm coming to you first. Did Tom Brady in those last 45 seconds find some magic? Could those 45 seconds turn around the entire season for Tampa Tom and the Buccaneers, yes or no?
Hell no.
Hell no.
No. Hell no.
Yeah.
We talking about, did you see how bad, that was a ugly game against a bad football team in the Los Angeles Rams. And you think some type of last drive by Tom Brady against that bad Rams team is going to all of a sudden sprinkle some pixie dust on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers season? No.
Ninko.
No. Sorry. Hembo with the facts. Give me some facts. The Bucs have scored 4 touchdowns in 44 drives. Wow.
That's not
is
many.
bad. That's the lowest rate in the NFL. That is not good. So I don't think a last 15-second touchdown is going to save the direction of the team.
They do?
Man, this gonna be a thumping, man.
Seattle's going to thump them.
Yeah, this is gonna be a thumping. Like, man, this is horrible. This is bad. I don't know how this team got that bad that fast.
Well,
but listen, it's over. Barbecue chicken for Nico.
Can we
Can you
put
draw
up
a ship? Can you draw the Titanic, Nico?
Yeah, I can.
Pictionary.
Do I have the point spread, Cindy? The picks are up there. Everybody is riding with Seattle,
Why you wouldn't?
and I understand it. They certainly have looked like the better team to this point. They are actually maybe the most pleasant surprise in the entire NFL. People aren't paying very much attention. The Buccaneers are the favorites in this game, which means
That's off reputation.
That's
alone.
just Tom Brady.
That's off reputation
That's
alone.
Tom Brady.
they are suckering you in. They are begging you to pound Seattle in this game and getting 3 points in this thing, which is exactly the reason you go the other way. Danny.
Tom Brady has never lost in Germany. Like, that is something to pay. No, look, I mean, seriously, though, I mean, like, Seattle is a really good team. I mean, they're getting their defense together, which was
wow,
the
that is
problem earlier in the
amazing.
year.
That is amazing.
What is
quick?
that?
See how
The
quick
Titanic.
that is? It's the Titanic, and it's sinking. See how it goes down?
I'm taking
It's
you
gonna
win,
start
lose, or
breaking
draw.
in the
The
half.
Seahawks are the
Right
iceberg.
there. See?
You know what, Nico? If this football analyst thing ever fails you, you know those guys who hang out at the beach and draw caricatures of people, like in 1 minute they draw.
You want me to draw you?
You could do very well with that.
I'll draw you. I need paper.
I got no takers. That Brady, what they needed was a little bit of their mojo back, and those last 45 seconds will do it. And now an international trip. Get away from everything. He's unbeaten in Germany. I'm throwing anything I can at you here.
Nice
Tampa
profile
Tom
here.
lives. I've got the Buccaneers this weekend.
I'm good on that.
Done. They're out. Barbecue chicken, forking them, whatever it is.
All that. Filet of fish.
Filet of
But here's
fish.
the thing, like if the Falcons lose tonight, then they can lose to the Seahawks and still be tied for first place.
They
That's
could
what-
win that division at
it's-
6-11.
Yeah.
I mean, someone is probably
have
going
time
to.
to
It hosts
figure
the
it
game.
out. They have
Right.
time.